glad to have you here today. Today with us is going to be Sarah Frey and associates from Liberty Source. And we are very excited to hear what they have to say and tell us about their organization, their business, and what that means for military spouses. So Sarah, take it away.
Great. Thanks so much, Carly, and thank you for the introduction. So for those of you on this call, welcome. I see some folks from Virginia Beach, too. We're not that far away, just on the other side of the water. And I am our Vice President of Process Excellence. And so I'm excited to be meeting with you all today to talk more about Liberty Source and specifically the work we are doing around digital transformation and automation, and share with you just some great tools that are available as everyone is learning more about this technology, and then how we are employing that with military spouses and veterans. And so before we kind of jump in, there are several members of the Liberty Source team who are all on the call today who all have some type of military affiliation. So I thought we could take a few minutes just to introduce our Liberty Source attendees and have them tell you about themselves. So that way when they're talking, you kind of can place who they are. So with that, I'm going to just turn it over to my team after I do my introduction. So I've been with Liberty Source just about 2 years. I live in the Hampton Roads area and returned back to this area as a military spouse. I've followed my active duty spouse and experienced the employment plight of kind of trying to move somewhere and find sustainable employment, specifically in my field in process improvement, project management, and related system integration. So I'm very excited to have found this group and to be connecting with you all today. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Danielle, and we'll just go kind of around my team if they could introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Danielle. I am an Air Force spouse. My husband's been active duty for 8 years. We used to live in Hampton. As of this summer, we are in Shreveport, Louisiana, one of those fun summer PCSs to the very hot south. I've been with Liberty Source for 1.5 years as a project manager with our process excellence team, and it's just been really amazing to be able to keep my job. When we moved, I was able to go completely remote with really no problem whatsoever, and I've been working from home ever since, and it's been really great. I'm excited to get to meet you all.
Great. Amy, I think you're on the line.
Yes, I am. Good morning, everyone. So I am a newer addition to Liberty Source. Sorry, I just unmuted myself, so I'll start over. I am the newest member of the Liberty Source team. I joined just about almost 4 weeks ago. So I, too, myself, was in the role as a military spouse to an Army individual for 23 years. So 18 of his 20 years of service. I understand as well the moving and having to readjust, find employment. So I did live that life, and I was supported and feel very grateful for the opportunities that I was provided. But obviously the mission here at Liberty Source spoke to me in understanding firsthand what those challenges can be. So I am, excited again to be a part of the discussion this morning, and look forward to what Sarah has to present.
Okay. Ashton, do you want to go next? I think we might have lost Ashton. Cindy, I'll just see her there.
Yeah, I can go ahead, and then if Ashton jumps back in, we can reintroduce her at any time. Ashton is our VP of Marketing, and she's an active duty Marine spouse, currently stationed in New York, but looking forward to a move sometime next year. So I'll let Ashton elaborate when she joins back in. But good morning and hello, everyone. I'm Cindy Gallagher. I'm the Chief Executive Officer for Liberty Source. I was an 8-year Navy spouse. So again, as Amy said, live the life and understand and appreciate all of the opportunities that were afforded to me, and in founding Liberty Source, we really look to give more opportunities back to our celebrated military spouse community. We are a 5-year-old organization. Sarah, before I go on, is Ashton joined in?
Hey guys, can you hear me now?
Okay,
Yes.
yeah, why don't you go ahead, Ashton, with a quick update, and then I'll go
Okay.
to the Liberty Source story.
Okay, I'm so sorry about that, everyone.
You're fine.
So I'm Ashton Regan, the Vice President of Marketing at Liberty Source. I direct and oversee the marketing department. I'm responsible for designing, implementing, and monitoring effective marketing strategies that really align with our business goals. I am a Marine Corps spouse of 13 years, and we are currently stationed in New York. I do work remotely 100% of the time, so that's another great thing that I really love about Liberty Source, and being able to work remote and stay around my family and have a great job.
Great, thanks, Ashton. Sarah, let's move into the Liberty Source background. We'll go right into slide 4.
Sure.
Liberty Source, for those who are not familiar or maybe didn't have a chance to do a little bit of research on us before today's call, we believe that business processes such as finance and accounting, data curation and analysis, as well as process automation could be delivered closer to home, thus reversing the decades-old trend that I know we're all familiar with of sending business processes overseas. As you can see, we're only a 5-year-old entity. We grew up in the finance and accounting world and added to our services over the last 3 years more data and more automation, which I can't wait for Sarah to tell the automation story. We are headquartered in Fort Monroe, Virginia. As like Ashton said, I actually work 100% remotely as well. I'm currently up in DC, so only about 3.5, 4 hours north of our headquarters, but we do have a distributed model. We want people to come into our headquarters first. That's the ideal situation. However, we understand that that isn't always the case, and we want to find the best talent no matter where they be in the world, frankly, particularly from the military spouse community. Our mission, we actually have a dual mission strategy, is to provide services to our clients that they can trust, continually trust, while also creating long-term sustainable careers for military spouses. Before creating Liberty Source, I was a corporate controller and had a team, offshore team, for almost 7 years. And we founded the company with the understanding of how outsourced work is performed, but dedicated to helping clients achieve a higher level of trust with their provider. The business process outsourcing world, for those who may not be familiar with it, is full of differences of opinion, as you can imagine, differences in the ways of business processes being performed. And our goal is really to build that trust up with our clients so that we are afforded an opportunity to do more for and with them than a traditional outsourced provider typically is. From creating the long-term sustainable careers perspective, I certainly don't need to tell this group about the plight of military spouse and the employment struggles that we all face. But you may be surprised that when I share the statistics of military spouse employment across my professional network, people are really astonished at the high unemployment rates, along with the high education rates. It's a very decorated and highly educated community. So it's really a privilege for me to be able to share our stories across a network of civilians and professionals who have never heard them before. And I do feel like we're opening the civilian world's eyes to what happens to a military family and military spouse career in particular. We have 5 core values at Liberty Source. For some corporate entities, their core values may be just a checklist of sorts, but for Liberty Source, we truly live and breathe by these 5 core values, which are all underpinned by our mission to serve our clients and our employee community. We celebrate all employees who demonstrate these values. Could be in the way of a simple thank you, all the way to formal awards, which are given every quarter. Employees nominate each other for those who have demonstrated any of these values in their mission to their clients or in their mission to helping and serving their fellow employees. These 5 core values are also a key part of our new hire process as we look to indoctrinate new employees into the company and into these 5 core values. Our solutions, I touched on these in the very beginning, particularly the business process and the automation sections. Project management is where we like to begin every engagement. We look to problem solving. We look to help clients understand how they could do work better, how they could do work smarter, and then from there moving into the business services that we offer, which include storytelling, include detailed finance and accounting, and in many cases include a detailed review of their data strategy and data analytics. And then finally moving further down the lifeline into automation, where we can take what we have learned through our project management and business services sections and automate the processes to create scale for our clients. Our differentiator, I probably really don't need to spend too much time on this slide with this particular group, but I love to spend time on this slide when I'm talking to prospective clients and we bring them into our headquarters on Fort Monroe, really focusing on the highly dedicated and resilient employees that we have at Liberty Source. It's truly astonishing. We bring in our employees to talk to new clients, and quite honestly, I've never done this in any other professional environment, but I want our employees to be part of those conversations, and I want prospective clients to hear directly from the employees what they get out of Liberty Source and the value that they see in their own role to the company. We're of course an onshore solution, US-based solution for our clients, which in today's regulatory environment is also very, very critical. Our strategy, our corporate strategy, is really underpinned by the 3 statements that are on this next slide. We truly believe that the availability of data is increasing, and you all probably see it in your everyday lives. As a result of the increasing data, corporate executives are often finding themselves lost in a myriad of data, myriad of solutions that could be. We use our services and we use our employees to try to harness the power of that data to cultivate and curate shorter stories for these corporate executives so that they can make faster decisions. That moves on to the next belief here, the cognitive service layer, we believe is truly important. We look to blend and harmonize human capabilities with digital capabilities, creating scale for our clients. And then, of course, leveraging the underserved military spouse and veteran community, providing all of the skills that are needed and frankly missing in many organizations' data strategies. I'm going to pause there, Sarah. I know I said a whole lot, so I'll turn it back over to you and have you walk through our digital transformation strategy.
Sure. So specifically today, not only did we want to share with you more about Liberty Source, but specifically around what is digital transformation. And you may have heard about robotic process automation or artificial intelligence. And so we wanted to kind of share with you more thoughts on that, and then as specific to Liberty Source. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of walk you through from what Cindy said in terms of strategy, how it's a natural evolution that we would want to continue to evolve our business model to help our clients with their needs related to an increasing digital environment or landscape that we all are finding ourselves in. So I'm going to talk about what is digital transformation and robotic process automation, or you may start to hear me call that RPA. So when we think about early organizations, how they've kind of moved along from what we would say is more analog to digital work in their effort to digitize operations, this meant that many companies, and you all probably have been a part of businesses or kind of experienced this over your career, have moved from things like handwritten ledgers or invoices, typed information, right? All those physical documents, right? Who worked in an office where you had filing cabinets everywhere? And then as computers became more commonplace, those records became digitized. So kind of what you see in that first box. And then with those records being digitized, we see that businesses still, even though they had data in a more digital format, they weren't really shifting how they use those documents, right? When you think about even Microsoft products maybe, or how we look at the different icons on the toolbar, all those still align with very much our analog processes. And so over time, as businesses evolved into more digital data, they kind of advanced to what we would say is digitalization. So using that digital data to simplify how we work. So now saying, okay, I have more data available. How can I perform maybe faster or better with that data at my fingertips? So again, this is where we started to see different shifts in customer service functions, right? You call, someone's able to look up your information. Maybe you call TRICARE to look at a health insurance claim, and they can connect your record in DEERS to a record within the claim system. And that's kind of starting to really use that digital data in a different way. And to think about how we can do things in new ways and not just doing old things faster. And so with that, the next evolution and what we'll continue to talk about today is really how do we take now the digital data and looking at work in a different way to truthfully achieve digital transformation, or taking all of that together to add value to the customer experience. And this is something that's really important to our clients or potential clients. So how do we change the way in which business gets done? So with digital transformation, we're using technology to create new or modify existing processes, organizational culture, and experiences. So as Cindy kind of mentioned, what's the influence that we can have on decision-making for clients, and how can we look at changing processes in a way that enables better decision-making or game-changing efficiency, or allows us to personalize more of that customer experience. And again, this is something we see in our day-to-day life and experience, right? We have Netflix. It recommends the next best show for us to watch, etc. And so this just shows how far we're moving into this digital age, and something that you may have heard about in the sense of the fourth industrial revolution. So when we think about digital transformation, I think the best way to encapsulate that is using digital technology to create new or modify existing processes, culture, experience to meet our changing needs or what the market is demanding. And when we think about that, it's not necessarily new when we think about evolution of technology over time. And so that fourth industrial revolution I just mentioned may be something you've heard about or you've wondered, what is that? So what you can see here is really, and what they consider the first industrial revolution, we had advancement in steam engineering. So we had mechanization and things like the weaving loom. And the Industrial Revolution 2.0, we had mass production with the addition of the assembly line, and as we had more electrical energy. And then in the late 60s up until the early 2000s, we experienced kind of that third industrial revolution as we had more advancement in computing and the age of the internet, things like nuclear technology. And what experts consider us to be in now is this fourth industrial revolution. And that encompasses all these areas of digital transformation. So when we're starting to look at Internet of Things, advanced networks, chatbots, mobile devices, Wi-Fi, human-machine interfaces, 3D printing, it's really kind of a unique space and time that we're experiencing, and with advancement in big data. One of my favorite quotes around this in digital transformation is thinking about big data as the oil of the 21st century, and that we need ways to refine it, just like we did when we discovered oil deposits. And so I like to think about the different pieces of intelligent automation as ways that we can refine the data that now each of our businesses have to drive better outcomes. And so just to kind of summarize or help you understand further digital transformation, it's really taking and integrating the different value chains and the digitalization of product and service offerings to really create new business models and ways of defining success. I know it's a lot of information on digital transformation, but I know when I first heard about the fourth industrial revolution, was something that was kind of new, and it's just something, if you're within the technology space, that I think is quite interesting. And so when we think about how do we take this model and kind of what the buzz is about with digital transformation and really turn that into what we do at Liberty Source, and how do we apply digital transformation specifically for our clients, and knowing that we're working with military spouses and veterans, we have kind of our own digital transformation model. And so this service line that my team works with each of our account teams on seeks to address the different components that are really required when we are transforming organizations' operations. So in the marketplace, we often see with new and emerging technology that lots of different businesses or providers kind of pop up. So we see this with software providers, and then there's consultants or system integrators, different trainers, or even other outsourcers that exist. And what we do at Liberty Source is to really bring all of that together in a holistic solution for our clients. So helping them understand what automation is, and helping them identify what processes within their organization may be best suited for automation, and then how do we prioritize those so they get, comfortable with the solution and are getting the most for that solution. We then help to partner them with, what's the best technology or solution that helps to solve their automation or digital transformation needs. Again, not necessarily a one-size-fits-all, but something that many people, because this is a new space and there's new tech, that many people need guidance in selecting the right solution. And then we help to pilot and integrate those solutions for our customers' workflows. So showing kind of what's possible with things like robotic process automation to get everyone comfortable in new ways of working, work through small proofs of concept to ensure we've addressed each component of a process or a workflow. It's really important. And then we really, and this is kind of where the latter half of our presentation will come into play, we work to offer our clients a group of trained automation and process experts. So individuals like Danielle, who's on this call, who understand, what can be automated, how to automate it, how to build a process, and take into account the client's needed workflow or raw data to process that for them. And then for any components of the process that maybe we can't automate or need to be handled with a higher level of care or cognitive insight, we have teams that can kind of handle that and spend more time, because the tasks that have been automated free up space within their day or their time for us to then deliver on clients' needs. And what I find most exciting is this is new technology. There's not a large pool of people who necessarily know how to automate using some of these new tools, and to be able to train a group of military spouses and veterans on it is very exciting. And so with that, this holistically kind of gives our clients a package, right? It's a one-stop shop where they can kind of cut through. They don't have to work with multiple siloed providers, and they have a seamless digital strategy or way to look at transforming their business. When we think about that, and I've mentioned RPA a few times now, but some of you may have heard some of these different terms that are up on the screen now. So things like robotic desktop automation or robotic process automation. When we think about those, they really are on this broader spectrum of overall intelligent automation. And so many organizations choose to employ some of these together, or they employ them separately based upon what their needs are. So when I mentioned in our strategy, we help clients to really understand what their needs are and how they evaluate processes. This really comes into play. And so to just continue to give you more context, RPA really typically leverages some type of pre-configured software that uses different business rules and predefined activities to complete autonomous execution of processes, activities, transactions, etc., to deliver a result or a service. This can be either attended or unattended, so meaning it requires human intervention, maybe to kind of review something or to handle something that's triggered in the process, or it can just run autonomously in the background. When we think about these areas, those really are very process driven. And so there are also opportunities within this space, maybe for someone who's not as technical or doesn't necessarily want to develop bots, to really help be a great process analyst. So someone who really understands the stepwise nature of something or can help think of potential risks or exceptions. That really comes into play as we're designing out digital assets. And then as we continue along the path, you may hear also about machine learning. So this is where the prescriptive analytics and decision engine really comes in. So where more advancement, and then following that, artificial intelligence. So where there's more of that deductive analytics happening. This combination of cognitive automation and machine learning really drives different hypotheses, analyses. Natural language processing kind of falls into this space, and to really drive more insight and analytics that are at or above human capability. So those we would say are more data-driven. And so as we look at these, it's really also thinking about this long continuum of doing, right? Those more on the left, to this overall progression of thinking. And again, these play together and organizations may leverage them in different ways, but there's this transition. And I think as we look at this landscape, it's something for us to just keep in mind of where can we take processes that maybe are still even analog today, approach them with some amount of RPA, and then is there opportunity for additional machine learning or artificial intelligence? And so I was reviewing something the other day that really said, kind of aligned with this picture, in the sense of the left side is more how do we support humans, elevate humans, act like a human, and then as we progress to the right, how do we more learn like a human, think like a human, feel like a human? And I know that's scary for some individuals, but there's tremendous power, I think, in being able to automate different processes. And we see that with our clients and what we're able to achieve, and then the amount of satisfaction that that can drive for employees. And so now that I've talked about these different areas on the continuum, you're probably wondering, well, okay, what can really be automated? This makes it sound like you could automate everything. Why wouldn't I want to do that? But I'll give you a little more context maybe for those who haven't seen as much about RPA. And so here are just some basic examples around some different processes or subtasks of a process that can typically be automated. So logging into applications, or copying and pasting data between different systems, extracting information, reading and writing to different databases, scraping data from the web, or calculating information. All of these, I think if you sat down and picked a process, whether it's something you do at work or for school or even in your personal life, you've had to do or can be a little repetitive. And again, these are common functions and things that we can often look to automate, whether those automations are simple or quite sophisticated to address businesses' key challenges. Something you often see, and if you think about, receiving an invoice, so we have to match that invoice to a PO and to make sure a purchase order, and make sure we apply the right amount of cash and kind of sort through that information. That's something that in many cases can be automated, or at least a portion of that process, to allow business to quickly process through different invoices that they have and make sure that they're reconciling and applying payments correctly. When you think about also logging into an application, so I know we all kind of maybe shudder when you think about having different passwords all written down and you may think, how do we credential a bot? How do we give them the right access to different systems so they can go perform a function? And that's something that's part of the process too. So even different users of RPA software have to credential, or they even name their digital assets or their robots. They give them either human names or fun names to kind of humanize them in this process as they work alongside human workers, performing different processes and steps. And with that, as people have taken these different steps or created more sophisticated automations, there's many benefits. And so there's several listed here. I won't go through each one individually, but just wanted to touch on some of the key benefits of applying things like process automation. So the sense of accuracy and consistency is really important. So we see reduction of error rates when we're able to automate processes, and we're able to ensure that processes are performed the same way each time. And for clients, depending on their industry, that can be really important as we really focus on data quality. And many of our clients, that's one of the reasons they select to partner with us, is our focus on quality. From a productivity and retention perspective, when we automate things, we free up humans to perform what we call higher value-added tasks. So these could be things like deeper customer-level interactions. And this also shifts human effort towards more stimulating work, so something that may be more engaging for employees. Something from my perspective, having worked with lots of system integrations and implementations over time, that I find encouraging about the automation space is that it's opportunity focused. And we see different examples across industry where it doesn't require enterprise adoption. So sometimes the success stories you hear in businesses that use RPA are where a small team or a specific business unit decided to automate processes and partnered with someone like Prism, which we'll talk about in a minute, and then really saw success, and then it spread across the organization. And there's definite benefits to that, of not having to wait maybe in a long procurement process to select a technology and implement it across an organization. And then the last one I'll touch upon is scalability. So bots and things like RPA allow us to meet peaks and troughs that are inherent in work and many processes. Think about things that increase at specific times of year, right? We're at the end of the calendar year, it's very busy. Certain businesses, industries see significant uptick either at this time of year or even month end, quarter end, year end, tax season, etc., where really having a bot who can kind of take over a portion of that work or that volume becomes very helpful to match the demand. I see this in different processes, like physician credentialing applications is a great example. So medical students complete their residency, they're all applying, at the same time for positions. They go through a lot of documentation. There are definite peaks in that process, or back to school times, right? So when you think about what in the past, maybe we employed humans and had overtime, or projects had to be reprioritized, bots can really help with the ramp up and ramp down in those situations, which I think is very encouraging. So that's a bit about digital transformation. Hopefully you have more information about RPA. I can't necessarily see if there are any questions because I'm in presentation mode, but I'll pause there just to see if there's anything specific on either of those topics that we might be able to answer.
If anybody has a question, they can just either throw it in the chat window or they can unmute their mic and go ahead and ask it.
Well, I can share more about if there's any questions coming in. We'll kind of jump into the next topic. I know we have time allocated for questions at the end as well. What I want to expound more upon then, as we've just talked about RPA, is what are the different tools that are available, or how can you as a military spouse or an individual who has interest in this space really obtain training or skills related to these digital assets and these different platforms. There are many in the marketplace, and if you happen to look up any, I'm sure you've been inundated with lots of different names of different applications, and there's a lot of training that's out there and available and free for those who are interested in learning more about RPA. Specifically, Liberty Source works with several different automation solutions, as we mentioned. Our clients don't have a one-size-fits-all model by any means. But today we're going to talk specifically about Blue Prism, which is a connected RPA platform that we have partnered with. And I want to share with you what I think is a really exciting university and learning platform that they have recently launched that made me very excited to share with this group, again, what's out there and free in the marketplace. So Blue Prism is a connected RPA platform that is kind of a whole ecosystem of different technology and support that allows automation and different ways to innovatively automate specific tasks and business processes. The platform really includes several different components, so building automations via drag and drop interface, which is great if you don't have a specific coding background. One thing that we really love about it is it does allow a wide variety of individuals with different skill sets at different points in their career to still create meaningful automation. It includes elements of AI and cognitive capability through autonomous robots, so a true digital workforce. And then within that, you can imagine as you start to automate processes and build digital workers, and you're doing that scaling that we just talked about, it has a control room function. So there is ability for someone to manage, which bots are doing what at what time, which gives a nice transparency to different process proficiencies or where further opportunity may be available. And when you really think about that, right, then we can collect data on the processes themselves and find further ways to automate on top of automation, which sounds silly, but it does exist. And I've heard different examples of even organizations that have bots building other bots to really help their organizations excel. Unique to Blue Prism is this concept of being business-led, so anyone can innovate. Again, for those who may have worked with different technology integrations or implementations over time, sometimes it's technology that winds up being owned by the IT department or requires a lot of technical background and knowledge. What Blue Prism acknowledges is that successful organizations innovate and deliver across all areas of the business, and those sometimes closest to the work, really when they're empowered on that side of the business and they have this interface that's code optional or low code, that they can go ahead and take their ideas of what needs to be automated and they can really bring that to life. And so that's what Blue Prism offers within their platform. At the same time, there still needs to be a partnership from a technology perspective. And again, the second component really about Blue Prism is that it's still technology controlled. So supported by IT teams and capable of supporting that scale. And many organizations, our clients included, want to know that their data and their processes are performed within a secure environment and that any risk is reduced. And so the Blue Prism connected RPA platform really allows that and lets organizations remain agile and competitive while meeting the different security needs that they have. And then the last piece around it being an intelligent platform. So one thing that we talk a lot about in our organization when we think about organizations needing digital transformation is that no organization looks the same, and our clients may come to us with different technology needs and platforms, and a specific process may require us to join more than one technology together. And Blue Prism really allows that to create a true digital enterprise, if you will, and connects with different applications or other third-party technology to build really robust processes. And that's something that we always have to look through when we're thinking about solution architecture, or those of you on the call who maybe have had to build or design something before, right? It's never as easy as it seems, and Blue Prism kind of gives that robustness of a solution. And so you're probably like, okay, well now great, I want to learn how to use Blue Prism and see really what it can do. So as I mentioned, one of the most exciting things that has come out of Blue Prism recently is the launch of their Blue Prism University. And along with that, there are different certifications within Blue Prism that anyone is able to take training on and to then receive certification after sitting for a proctored exam. And so this is something even my team actively at Liberty Source has pursued and worked through certification, some with technical backgrounds, some without. So it's been very exciting to kind of be a part of that upskilling journey with our team. And so specific to Blue Prism, there you'll see here different certifications such as a developer, a solution designer, what's called a robotic operating model architect, a technical architect, so someone who's focused on the overall infrastructure, server setup, etc. Vice the developer, which is on the far left side. And I'll show you this learning path here for that developer. So it's a series of really interactive learning modules, hands-on exercises and activities to build digital assets, which I think when you're trying to learn something new and something that is very different from a technology perspective, getting to actually build an automation and see it run through and go through the working through the kinks is very beneficial from a training perspective, and that's one of the things that we loved about working through the Blue Prism University. And so this is something that can be designed or completed on your own time. You can kind of pick it up and put it down, although there's some challenges with that my team will attest to, because sometimes you forget things. But really exciting foundational and then guides to review and mentoring provided by Blue Prism as you're working through something like the developer upskilling path. In this example, the developer would be someone who builds the digital asset that then becomes the automation that a team or a business organization would use. This information can all be found on the Blue Prism University page. I have the link here on this slide. It's just blueprism.com/university. This really is a holistic online learning platform for self-study on-demand training related to the Blue Prism platform. It also gives guidance on, where you can take a certification exam. There are multiple choice exams, very brief. I'm sure many on this call have studied for different certifications, technical, project management, etc. I think on the broad spectrum of certifications, it probably falls somewhere in the middle of kind of a decent amount of preparation. But again, what I love about it for my team and an organization like Liberty Source and Military Spouses is everything that you need to be successful is here in that Blue Prism University portal. So if you're interested, it's something that you don't have to, if you're in a remote duty station, it's something you could still access and learn about. Also really exciting, even though I shared the different certification options that are there for you, there are just general courses to learn more about RPA and about the platform itself, and kind of how do you identify potential automation. So if you're curious but not yet sure really what topics, or if being a developer vice a technical architect and what those are, there are short snippet modules that are interactive that would give you some more direction. In addition, right, different people have different learning styles, and Blue Prism University really addresses that with self-study and the hands-on activities that are there. And my team, through working through different certifications, all had different feedback, and they each were able to kind of have those different needs met learning management system. So when you're on that site, once you're logged in, you just make a Blue Prism account, which you can do with any email. You can access different online courses, and that's where you can find the different courses based upon roles you may be interested in. you can track your progress using the different learning plans, kind of customize the types of classes or modules. And then if you're interested or as part of the training, you need to download your own copy of the software. They have now made available a wonderful learning edition that allows you to build your own automation. So you could automate maybe a process, or if you do something for school, or you pull down a report for a group that you volunteer with. You'd be able to kind of build that automation and experience what connected RPA looks like. And again, that's not something that was available a year ago, but in the recent months, Blue Prism has made available, which I think is very exciting. And when you are in that learning edition, it'll direct you to a space on the digital exchange within Blue Prism to access that self-paced trial application. It's good for 90 days. I myself have many military spouse friends who own their own businesses, and I've really encouraged them to go kind of explore and see if this could help them, even if it's with a few tasks that maybe they're doing on a project basis or whatever it may be. It's a fun way to kind of get your hands on it, look at, trial and error. You can see from this screenshot, for those of you who may have had experience with tools like Microsoft Visio, the look and feel can kind of be the same as you kind of build through a process, join the elements together to build objects within the studio. And best of all, it's free. So I know we also have Stephanie Lanning, who's our partner manager with Blue Prism, on the line. She didn't introduce herself at the beginning, and I just talked through kind of what's available with Blue Prism University and with Learning Edition. But Stephanie, before we jump into any questions, I just wanted to know if you had anything else to share about the tool or the certification process. She might be on mute. I'm going to go ahead and just open it up for any questions. I'm actually going to stop sharing so I can see the chat just to see if there were any questions about Liberty Source or about digital transformation or Blue Prism itself. And just to kind of summarize, we wanted to share not only what we're doing within the organization, but this wonderful tool that's available as we continue to partner with clients. We know that there's a demand not only for this technology, but for individuals who have this skill set. And so when we look at a group like MilSpouse Coders and the talent of the group and the excitement of potentially upskilling people, something you can complete on your own, I hope it's something that's been useful, at least to share with you a new technology or maybe something you don't know as much about before today's session.
Stephanie, I have you unmuted on, it looks like a desktop. You've got 2 logins, one on a phone and one on a computer or something else.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, we got you.
Great. Sarah, did you say you have Danielle on the call who's taken the developer track?
Yes, I have.
Danielle, are you there?
Yes, this is Danielle.
Maybe I'll just defer these questions to you. So Danielle's actually gone through the developer track, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. So I see questions in the group chat. Just to give everyone some background where I am with it, I am taking my certification exam on Friday, so I've gone through most of the training already. It's just taking the exam at this point. To answer your question about how long does it take to complete the online training for the developer track, so I've definitely taken a slower approach to it. I've done this over a number of months because I've been doing it in concert with the other work that I've been doing for Liberty Source. I think one of the slides that Sarah shared actually gave you more of a timeline of how much time it might take, but for the foundation course, it takes about 30 hours to get through everything, including the exercise that you have to send to Blue Prism. And then there's another, yeah, there it is, 10 hours of other guides that they put you through. And then there's another 24 hours of consolidation exercises that they put you through before you go to the developer exam. And all of that is meant to sort of give you the tools that you need, I think, to take the exam. So you could do it if that's all you're doing every day. You know, you could probably do it within maybe 2 months, but I've taken a more steady, slow approach to it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think one of the other questions someone said, if I'm brand new to coding, right, does this work for me, or what is that approach? So Danielle, can you share a little bit of your background as well?
Sure. Yeah, I think this was actually very good for me taking this. I don't have any coding experience. I was a theater major and I did theater before I joined Liberty Source, so I wasn't really in the coding world all that much. I had some experience with some coding in Excel, but not really much. So it's a fairly simple path. You know, I found it very easy to learn the way they teach you, and you can make it as code heavy or not as you want when you build a bot, but the system and like the framework that they have for Blue Prism is very easy to understand. If you've ever worked in Visio, it's very similar to that. You're honestly moving different building blocks around to build the bot. You're not actually writing code.
And certainly just to elaborate on that, with some of the other certification roles, like the technical architect is more about the overall infrastructure and security and setting it up in a cloud. So if that's kind of more where your path has led you or where your interest lies, there is something kind of for everyone. And then from a developer perspective, within my team, everyone has a different level of technical experience. It's actually been quite fun to watch people with completely different backgrounds to really excel, or to work together to work through different pain points, if you will, of building different bots. But it gives good diversity of thought as we look at what we could automate. So I would definitely say, even if you don't have the background in it, but it's something you're interested in, that it's worth pursuing. And I think that's very, hopefully, exciting and encouraging. I also just want to touch, I'm going through the questions. One of the other questions asked, would a program like Blue Prism on your resume have enough street credit to break into the field? And from my perspective, certainly it's new and emerging technology, this, as well as there are other vendors in this space. I'll just name them so people have good recognition, but things like Automation Anywhere, UiPath, and even things like Microsoft have Microsoft Flow, or what has become, I think now, Power Automate or Microsoft Automate. We definitely see a talent shortage in this space. So I think if it is something, again, that you're interested in pursuing and you receive the certification, we do see demand for it. We see clients or potential clients coming to us asking if we have people with these backgrounds. See another question on, is there a good community in Blue Prism to ask questions or get feedback? Stephanie, you can probably help to elaborate on this one, but yes, back also within the Blue Prism University portal, there is a learning community link. I also receive daily digests for different topics, so it's a quite active community of people that kind of share best practice and information, as well as when you complete the certification, when you share, people are performing the same exercise, so there's always good feedback to learn about your bot or where you may have questions.
Yeah, there's a forum for all the learners, correct.
And then I see it says, what are some examples of exercises that you might do as part of the certification process? So Danielle, do you want to talk about kind of one of the consolidation exercises that you did as part of the developer training?
Sure. So there's a program that Blue Prism gives you to download, and it's essentially an order form system where you're inputting orders for X amount of money and whatever, and you're essentially building the bot to take the information from a spreadsheet and input that information into the order system. It sounds simple. It's actually it's when you get into it, you see it becomes very precise. Like every single step has to be accounted for, including if you have errors, if you put in a number wrong or something in the spreadsheet. So you really get to see in that sense how something so simple actually does take quite a bit of time. But the thing that I liked about how Blue Prism sets it up is you spend the time building the bot, but then it's done, and then you don't have to keep working at it and building it every single time. It's just there, and you can use whatever elements you need in the future. So that's what they do for the consolidation exercise, is just taking some orders, inputting them from the Excel spreadsheet, putting them into a different system and having them input, and then taking a confirmation number from it.
And then the related question there, I can help to piggyback on what Danielle said. So what are some examples of work that can be done to help clients in this space? There are wonderful use cases on the Blue Prism website that talk about across multiple industries, just how people are applying RPA. So from applying also intelligent automation solutions to read CAT scans to potentially diagnose diseases, to an example that I recently attended or heard about at a Blue Prism event I attended was when we think of Amber Alerts are very much predicated on individuals recognizing license plates. Imagine if you can have automation technology that's helping to scan license plates to look for different vehicles. That has applicability here, and something that even Blue Prism has worked on. Even in our examples, on my team, we have an individual who helps to load productivity and performance data that we receive from our clients. And it's a quite manual process that, with the help of Blue Prism and automation, we'll be able to cleanse that data and load it into our visualization system, Power BI, to free up time to then actually spend more time looking at how we're actually performing. So there's broad applicability. And again, you can start out very simply, or even think about even processes that you perform day to day of pulling down reports that any type of business may have. And then lots of good questions. One of the next ones was, what kind of job demand is there for individuals with this training or knowledge? Again, we see this. We have customers coming to us looking for individuals. Cindy mentioned on an earlier slide, we have clients in that space who are asking us to help perform automation curation. So even vetting of automation ideas, just because businesses can't get through that volume to even then begin automating. And Cindy, I didn't know if you wanted to maybe elaborate on that and what you saw even at Discovery or here across the marketplace in the sense of demand. Might be on mute.
Looks like I'm unable to unmute her. Yeah, it won't let me. It's not letting me. I don't know, Tony, if you're able to. Oh, there you are.
There you go.
We had her for a second.
What's going on? Were you
Sarah?
Sorry.
Yes, we can hear you, Cindy.
Oh, you can. Okay. Sorry, I went to take it off mute and it tried to redial me back in. So demand in the marketplace is actually plentiful, and at this point, I would say infinite. At some point that infinite will come back down to more of an earth size. But I'll give you some personal examples even. While I was the corporate controller at AOL, we implemented an automation tool, an RPA tool, across our finance and accounting and global business services processes. We looked at anything where there were keystrokes, anything that didn't require a level of human judgment could be automated and was a target for automation. And the same when I was the Senior Vice President at Discovery Communications, same thing. We went through all of our back office processes to include finance, accounting, tax, HR, legal, even honestly some IT processes. Again, that didn't require a high level of human judgment, anything that was repetitive, anything that was rules-based. There is still a very large number of processes that can leverage and be helped from the Blue Prism, I'm going to simplify it and say BP, tool. So anyone looking to break into this space, I think now is a fantastic time. And I do think you continue to see Blue Prism growing in the field. There's a number of competitors as well, but they're popping up because of the number of opportunities that are available.
And Carrie Lee asked, even though we mentioned low code, no code, are there opportunities within the field for those who like to code too? What are the opportunities, for example, to integrate machine learning with RPA? And I would say yes, depending on how you want to leverage the tool or the interface, the portions that you want to interact with, there's still definite opportunity to code within the tool, to integrate different solutions. And I think what you'll also see in the marketplace is many of the tools are combining all those different elements along the continuum of machine learning along with artificial intelligence. So definitely that's available. I think conversely, what's exciting is for those who may be looking to break into that, who need some help from time to time of, right, how do I create this expression? Or what's this field name? And how do I do that? It provides kind of the interface to do that as well. And then, as I mentioned, for those who may be more interested in the infrastructure, how do I set this up in a cloud environment, or I'm interested in the security aspects of this environment, that technical architect role certainly might be a good place to start and to look. And I didn't have this on the specific slide, but when we really look at what it takes to stand up this as a capability, there are so many different roles and skill sets needed, from a process analyst, maybe who doesn't necessarily touch the tool, but knows, what may be a good candidate and a general sense of how the tool works, to the developers, to the solution designers, technical architects, process controllers, etc. So I do think it is something that there's a wide variety of space for people with different backgrounds and interests to all still have a part in RPA. I know we're a bit over, but hopefully that helped. Lots of wonderful questions. And I hope this was something that at least gave a tiny, tiny bit of insight to something that's, again, exciting and new. For those of you who have any questions, or as you get started on the last slide, which I just pulled down, let me reshare my screen. I did put my email at Liberty Source, and then if you're on the Blue Prism site, there is help and support through that portal as well. But certainly anyone who was on today's call who would be interested or learning more, whether it's about Liberty Source or this, if I can help to get you connected, I'm happy to do so. Again, as a company that supports military spouses and veterans and creating opportunities for them, this has been one of the most exciting things that I've been able to be a part in quite some time. And so I'd be happy to connect someone if this is something that they're interested in. And with that, Carly, I'll hand it back over to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Sarah and Cindy, Danielle, Amy, and Ashton. Stephanie. And we